Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome. Yes, no, please. You're too kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, welcome to a special edition sponsored by EatOkra of Women's History Month. Today we have Amira Garba, winemaker and owner of LoveLee Wines. So the reason why I wanted to have Amira on this show highlighting Women History Month is because she's carving her own niche in the wine industry, and she's driven by passion, she's driven by knowledge, she's driven by just drive, entrepreneurial spirit, mommy spirit. And I read her story, and I had a brief, discussion with her early in the week, and even this morning here, this afternoon. And she's got great energy. So y'all are in for a treat. Y'all are in for a true treat. So again, let me start by thanking our sponsor, EatOkra. We need everybody to go to the EatOkra app, eatokratheapp.com. EatOkra website, download it. EatOkra is more than just a directory of Black-owned businesses, restaurants across the country. EatOkra is really blazing a trail for food trucks and chefs, entrepreneurs, prepared meals, ghost kitchens, as well as restaurants across the nation, and actually looking to go international. So please, we need everybody to go out there and download EatOkra, the app. So without any further ado, I want to welcome today's guest, Amira Garba.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I love my intro, and yes, I'm bringing all the energy today.
Yeah, she's special.
Hopefully, it's already been a long weekend. It's only Saturday.
So, Amira, tell us your journey. Tell us who you are. Tell us, your drive and your passion, all those things that really inspired you to become a winemaker.
Yes. So, like you mentioned, I started this in 2016. I remember it like it was yesterday. I officially launched it on my birthday, my 30th birthday. And what led to, starting the business was really this journey of finding who Amira was outside of the titles that I had up until that point. So just to lay it out for you, by 23, I had the career, husband, house, and kids.
Okay.
And so by 30, I was just like kind of burnt out and really not liking the monotony of life. Don't get me wrong, my kids are like everything to me, but I realized I wasn't living for Amira. I had stopped living for Amira a long time ago. And I was like, I'm too young to not know like what I like, what's my purpose, what's my passion outside of, mommy executive. And so I started to try to figure out who I was, right? Especially coming into this period of my life in my 30s. And so I had finally read the book, The Alchemist, which was really recommended to me by a few people. And I was, back then too, I knew it all. I was a planner. I had been checking off boxes. But like I said, by the time I was 30 and the boxes were no longer fulfilling me, I knew something had to make a shift.
Gotcha.
And so read the book, was inspired to just go after my purpose and to go after my dreams and to not overthink, because I'm an overthinker all the time. So I was like, Mary, what do you like to do, girl? On one of my long train rides to New York City from Jersey, because that's where I worked my whole life. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting there and trying to remember, and I was just like, I like to drink. I like to drink wine. I like to have a good time. I was like, what does that mean? But then it was deeper than that too. I had noticed that I was going to all of these wine tasting events, and I was reading about wine in my free time. And that's when the book kind of clicked for me. It was like, stop overthinking. You like this world. Right. Explore that. And so that's what I said, you know what? I literally jumped out the window. There was no business plan. It was, I've been drinking everyone else's wine. I want to make my own. And I didn't know any Black women winemakers at the time. So I said, sounds like a challenge. I'm going for it.
Okay.
Start of it.
So let me just, I'm going to dive in personal and business. So talk to us about, so at that point, was there capital needed? Did you have capital? Did you get a loan? Did you put together a business plan? So, walk my listeners through what, how'd you navigate those waters?
I know, like, was it magical? No. So like I just mentioned, I don't have a formal business plan.
Okay.
I am self-funded. So everything that I do, I still work full time. So I'm a marketing executive. That's what I do. So that plus whatever I make in the wine kind of fuels the business for now. But I have dreams of growing, which is why I'm going to do the formal business plan. And I don't know if it's something cultural, or if it's just me, like, I don't like debt, and I feel like we're conditioned to be in debt as Black people. So I was afraid and had this fear of like, I don't want loans. I don't want investors. This is mine.
Right.
But I'm starting to peel back some of that and be like, listen, this is how the people do it. This is how they make money.
Absolutely.
People's money. So I'm actually starting to navigate those waters, and always open to people to help me and mentor me and get me out of that fear.
Right.
But LoveLee is self-funded. I'm pretty small. I consider myself a boutique winery. I purchase wine at by the barrel, and which a barrel produces 25 cases. So I usually start with that whenever I launch a new wine. And yeah, it's just whatever I make, I put it back, and I do everything myself. I do my marketing, I'm a marketing exec. I do my social media. Everything's me. Okay,
so I'm gonna keep backing you up because you know your story, right? But there was an idea that, okay, I like wine. I'm going to learn more about the winemaking process. You didn't just jump into, okay, let me find out how to buy some grape juice and have it fermented into, you know what I mean? Because I understand the fermentation process, right? The yeast and the sugar do their dance, and the bricks and all of that. So you have to, you jumped over that. So go back and tell me.
Y'all want all those boring details?
Because at some point in time it was an idea, and then it became a bottle with grape,
with wine, and now it's
grape
4
juice
bottles
in it with a label on it, and now there's distribution we'll get to all those things later. But so how did it become an idea and a passion, and all right, what's the first step?
Yes. So the first step for me was to, accept that I'm a Jersey girl who has no access to a vineyard, and there's no way I'm producing my own grape juice. So it was find suppliers or find supporters or find partners who could help me. And my search led me to a company in California, because all of my wine is California made, which is essentially like a crush pad.
Right.
I think that's what they call them. So a lot of the heavy lifting they do, and I pay a hefty price for it.
Right.
So why my winemaking skills come in is that after all the grapes, they own the relationships with the actual vineyards, and they collect the juice and they ferment. And me as the winemaker, I come in for LoveLee Wine. I come in and say, hey, what are my options? I want to sit and blend. So I do all blending, because to me, to be confident in my winemaking skills, I think that's where I get the confidence. Is like, no, I've actually blended this. I've actually sat with the team and said, hey, my first blend was 85% Syrah. I had Merlot, Zinfandel. 15 was made up of Merlot, Zinfandel, Petit Syrah, and Viognier.
Those are varietals, by the way. So
yes, those are varietals.
Those are types of grapes that fall into a red or a white category, and then they blend them together to come up with Amira's special blend. Go ahead.
Yes.
So I just got to interject a little bit so the listeners can follow.
Okay. So we want to educate the people. Don't get me going down a rabbit hole, because I'll teach you everything. So yes, when you hear things like Merlot, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, those are actual types of grapes.
Yep.
And then what winemakers do is blend grapes. So sometimes you'll see a bottle that just says one varietal, or if you see red blend, or if you see the appellation where it comes from, like Bordeaux or Burgundy or something like that, that just means it was blended with different varietals. So
absolutely. Yeah. So also let me just say that for those that are watching, many vineyards actually only grow grapes to be sold to people who make wines. So I don't want you guys to think that, I need you to understand the matrix of this business. Many people only buy grapes and they crush them, and many people buy juice that's already crushed, and then many people just grow grapes, and then they sell them to whoever wants to either crush them or blend them. So
you are good. Thank you for explaining that.
No doubt.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that, because I saw a post recently. I want to say it was at Vino Pear. I'm going to get her Instagram wrong, but she's amazing, because she was highlighting this very fact that people are always like, well, where are your vineyards? I'm sorry, these things cost millions of dollars.
Right.
So, and people like us that look like me have never had access to things like this. So winemakers come in different shapes and forms, and there are different steps to it. And so You're still a winemaker if you do the blending before bottling. You're still a winemaker if you do the actual fermentation and figure out what yeast strains you want. Like
right.
My team does all of that, but you're getting all of Amira Garba in my wine. Trust me.
Got you. So this, which is a great story. You know, again, I'm a huge fan of yours. I know we just met recently, but I'm here. That's why I wanted to call you and get you on, because I think people need to know who you are, because you truly are blazing a trail in this sector of our industry that, you know, many people don't have the guts to even dabble in. So, you know, much respect.
Yes. And thank you. And I'm loving the people that I've met since being in it. There are more people that look like me. There are people who've been in it way longer than me that are just doing the daggone thing. And I want us to, really create this blueprint so people after us don't have to work as hard, and we can start building legacy, right? And passing down vineyards and brands and knowledge, right? So.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, I want to keep it a little educational right now. So when you start talking about the blends, like how do you develop your palate, right? Sweet, sour, bitter, salt, right, is what we taste, right, on our tongues, on our palate. So wine complexity should be a combination of, right, sweet, sour, bitter, and salt. There's really no salt in the wine, so you're talking about a combination.
Some do have some salt qualities if they're grown.
So that's now I want to go down that road a little bit because it's educational. Because I need people to understand: drink what you like. You know, California winemakers are not trying to make wines taste like Italian winemakers or French winemakers or Portugal winemakers.
Yes.
Like, so Amira's wines, that's what I want to get to, is her version of what she wants, that complexity, that body, that feel, that viscosity on your palate, and the ability to be able to pair that with food. So go ahead, Amira. Let's do the education.
When I make wine, and again, I sit in a room with a white sheet. I get all my options. I start with what kind am I making? Am I making a white or a red? What varietals do I want in my white and my red, right? And it's literally taking like 7 glasses until I get it right and measuring the percentage of each varietal that I want. And for me, when I'm making a wine, the first thing I want is aroma. Taste on the palate comes from the nose first. Most of what you taste when you're drinking a wine, you're actually smelling. We know our smell and our taste go hand in hand. So,
right.
So disrespectful. Most of what you taste, you smell first. So aromas are super important. So that's why I'm always looking for, is it going to be an intense, pronounced aroma that's going to hit you as soon as you pour your first glass? So that's where I like to start. So that's why one of my favorite varietals is a Pinot Noir, my latest release. And I just love the red fruit that comes off of that. So that's where I like to start. Now, the running joke about Amira Garba's wines is I don't play with low alcohol, okay? I'm after the full body, high alcohol wines. Like that, to me, why else are you drinking wine? I don't have time for sweet wine. That's just my personal, unless, you know.
I love it.
I know all about Sauternes. Sauterne is a French, like really sweet wine that is absolutely amazing. And then you have Tokai from Germany. I'm getting deep, but
go ahead, girl.
Those sweet wines are on a different level and they're pricey, right? But I don't need low alcohol. It does nothing for me. So I love full body. I love high alcohol. I think that's fun.
So what percentage what's the definition of high alcohol?
Yes. So high alcohol is anything over 14%.
14%.
14%. And I still consider, I know if you get, depending on which test you're taking, like medium plus, white wines, you're really not going to get that high. So like I love like a 13.5. I believe my white wine, I should know off the top of my head, is 13.9. You can check my website to confirm, which I actually just sold out of. So it's time to make more. Congratulations.
So let me just help the listeners out here. So basically what happens is the yeast eat up the sugar. If there's no more
I can do that.
If there's no more sugar, right, then the fermentation process will stop. And that basically ends. So whatever alcohol is remaining in the after the fermentation process is where you get the level of alcohol, which
so how you get level of alcohol is how much sugar you have in the grape. So if you're picking like things that can lead to higher sugar is picking the grapes later because they're riper, there's more concentrated fruit. How you grow the grapes, right? anything that can give it, the warmer climates tend to have more sugar. So you're going to get higher alcohol in warmer climates, whereas cool alcohol, you're going to get more acidity. Cool climates tend to lend to acidity. Acidity is that mouth-watering effect that happens when you drink wine. I love acidity too.
Mm-hmm.
Acidity, tannins, I can go deep there too. Tannins is what gives you that bitter taste when you taste like a red wine.
Right.
You're going to have tannins in a white wine, but it's possible. The red wine is like, so you want the acidity and the tannins to kind of balance each other out, right? You want mouth watering, but you want the tannin to kind of suck that out. It's really fun and intriguing what happens to your mouth and your palate when you're drinking wine if you're paying attention. And I know I'm a dork about it. So I'm like, it's so exciting. And people are like, I just want to drink.
It is.
And me, I am all here for that. Sometimes I just want a great glass of wine. But yes, body is the fullness that you feel when you drink a wine. Does it coat your mouth? And typically, if you want to know if something is full body or not, if it has high alcohol, it's most likely going to be full body. If there's not a lot of alcohol, you're safe to say it's probably a medium or light body wine.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in wine, there are always nuances. There's always exceptions to the rule, which is why it's so hard to learn this daggone industry.
Right.
But those are the typical rules.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So she's
You got me over here trying to spill out all my WSET wine information because I got my test in 6 weeks. So because I need to practice this stuff.
This is good stuff, and again, we want to come fun and educational because I've been on a quest for a long time to remove the bouginess from wine. I know me being classically French trained as a chef, and I would take my parents to some of the higher end French restaurants that I worked here in New York City. And my mom and dad, they were always uncomfortable ordering off of the menu. They were always uncomfortable about a bottle of wine. And the bottom line is, I don't care if the bottle of wine is $12 or $46. If I don't like it, I don't like it. Right. And I used to tell my mother that. So the ability to be able to just say, Mom, just listen, it's fermented grape juice, all grapes, if you want to go into all grapes produce clear juice, right? Even red grapes produce clear juice. They only get the color from the skin. The tannins. So when she says tannins, that's what I call them, like little sweaters. Like if you put them on your teeth, right? Your teeth get that little coating.
Yeah. So and they can vary. They can be ripe. They can be underripe. Like absolutely. I'm still trying to learn the difference between a ripe tannin and an underripe tannin. But I think I'm glad you mentioned the bouginess out of it. That was my intent when I came here. Because again, I said, I didn't know personally at the time a woman winemaker, a Black woman winemaker. I didn't know any Black brands.
Right.
And I would go to wine tasting and I felt like anytime I was in a room with someone of color, they were more intimidated with, asking questions or speaking up or thinking things are silly. We don't know if we're not exposed.
Absolutely.
One can fault you for asking, one question people always are afraid to ask, but they're they want to know is, are there other things in wine, other fruits in wine? How do you get notes of strawberries and blueberries and berries and blackcurrant and herb and grass, right? And it's no, it's just a grape. And there are all these chemical reactions that are happening. But that's a logical question. If you're just going to tastings and people are like, do you get this peach and apricot? It's like, where's the peach and apricot?
But once you say it, then they be like,
apricot in here?
I get it. I smell it or I taste it once you bring it to their attention.
Yeah. So I want people to just be comfortable because it's really not that deep.
It's not.
It's not that deep. It's just wine. Drink what you like. I know I joke about sweet wine. It's just because it's not that fun for me.
Right.
But if you only like sweet wine, I want you to be confident in it.
Right.
And I want to know why you like that sweet wine.
Right.
Is it because it's low tannin, low acid? I want to equip people with the knowledge and so that they can be confident when they're like, no, I only drink Moscato and that's fine for me. I like my wine sweet. I like to drink it with this meal. Right. Be confident in that. And I don't shame people for not knowing things about wine. I didn't know things 4 years ago. So how can I?
Absolutely. Love it.
But I want people to be confident, especially people who are interested in wine. If you're just I want to drink, then that's fine too. But there are people who are interested, but they're afraid to ask questions or not know. And I'm like, why put that pressure on yourself? Who told you were supposed to know?
Absolutely.
Who? So, yeah.
And for the most part, there's not expensive way to celebrate or play cards or whatever it is you're doing with your friends. Because most of the times when you go to a restaurant, the restaurant probably paid $10 for the bottle of wine that is now on that list for $50, right? So you mark it up 400%. Right. So so you go to a boutique wine store, you go to Amira's website, you might be buying a $12 bottle of wine that may retail, like I say, in a restaurant 4 times that amount. So it's not about the price. It's about whether you like the wine or not, and then begin tasting different products to start training your palate and just have fun with it. And at the end of the day, she's coming with the kick-ass, right, of alcohol volume. So
First of all, like, you're going to have fun with my wine.
You're going to be happy in 20 minutes anyway.
Period. And this is why I'm talking about exposure, because there are people who will come to my wine tastings and say, drink red wine. I don't like it. It gives me a headache. It's too dry. It's too bitter. And I'm like, but did you try mine?
Right.
And it's just that you haven't tried enough wine. My thing is, I don't care what you like. Just be open to trying.
Absolutely.
You tried other wines. There are experiences that I've been able to have just in my studies that I would have never thought I could taste. Like, I don't know. I'm loving Spain Grand Reservas right now. The aromas are great. The oak flavors, but I don't have access always to like some of these fine wine. But if you try it and you're like, oh wait, I do like red wine. You may learn you just like fine wine.
Exactly.
So I'm always just trying to encourage people to just try.
Got you. Okay, so now let's go back to your business model. So you learned about the wines, you found the grapes and the suppliers that you need. How do you source the bottles, the labels? How does the wine get in the bottle? How does it get to you or your customers? Like, walk us through that a little bit without going into the trade secrets.
No. And I'm very transparent with my business because that's how we get more people like me in the industry. There's enough room for all of us. I'm not worried. There's only one Amira though, baby. Okay. So I'm not worried about that. But no, so I'm typically very transparent about it. So I told you I work with a crush pad. I also pay into a program that does all of the logistical stuff for me because I still do work full time. And one day when I transition, maybe not. So when I say they do the logistical work, I design the labels and the bottles. And I have a friend who just helped me do all this rebranding. And I hired him to help me like tell the story of LoveLee. So people may have noticed there's a new logo, new fonts, etc. So design the labels. Once I pick the blend, finalize the blend, it gets bottled at the same facility. They put my same labels on it. And then there's another company I work with that does all of the shipping. So like people they don't always understand that, like when I say, okay, it may take 7 days to get you your wine. It's not shipping from my basement, folks. There's a company that has to track compliance and legal things because I am direct to consumer only, right? So what that means is I can ship wine to you. I have to pay compliance fees for every state that I ship to, which the crush pad I work with, again, they make my life convenient. They kind of handle that. Otherwise, it's a whole to do it on your own. I pay a hefty premium for that. And I pay monthly fees to be able to ship. So up until 2020, I was only in 5 states. That's all I could afford. 2020, things grew. People cared about Black business. I got a ton of support. So I was like, oh, people want me in Florida. Georgia's looking for me. So now I'm in 34 states.
How many states?
34.
Wow. Let's get a clap on that. Let's get a clap on that. Yeah, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. So, and I thought that was important. As you know, my visibility grew. And so I can ship to you, but there's a lot of legalese. You have to be, of course, 21 to drink here. So you have to sign for it. And there's another company that has to track that to make sure I'm not just shipping wine to teenagers.
Right.
So I blend it. I sit. This is the final blend. Let's get it in bottles, folks. Bottle it, label it, make sure all the compliance stuff, all my fees are paid so that I can legally ship wine to, Cali and Texas. I'm in Texas now, and Massachusetts and all that good stuff. So let's do that. Make sure that then it goes into a facility where it's stored at the proper temperatures. You can talk wine storage temperatures too. And then you go to the website. The website you see, I did with my branding partner who helped me, did the website. You take into another site that kind of looks like mine, but it's not really mine because, again, the shipping facility and all this background stuff has to be compliant or you can get in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And what I want people to realize is that, in my opinion, this industry was not built for people like me and you to just come in and be easy. There's a lot of legalese, and I don't think people really understand that. Because one of the questions I get, well, why aren't you just in stores? I'm sorry, there's this thing called this 3-tier program that you need to go through in order to just get your wine in a store.
Right.
And there's some stuff to that too. And we
Yeah.
don't have a lot of Black distributors and importers who are looking for brands like us, who are not willing to like rob us blind
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
make all the money. But I'm learning that side. I have some mentors now who are teaching me and breaking down some of the myths I've had about trying to get into distribution. And I'm looking forward, sneak peek, trying to work on that, get you a LoveLee Wine line that's in stores while keeping my, esteemed premium brand online. So
Right.
you're the person to kind of hear that. So
No, that's great. I'm glad you're sharing that. We're sharing that with EatOkra for the first time. Y'all heard it here live.
Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome.
We appreciate that.
Keep come to fruition.
Awesome story. Awesome stuff. And again, those things. Yeah, each state has different liquor license laws, but we're still talking about America, people. We're still talking about implicit bias. We're still talking about systemic racism. We're still talking about things that were set up years ago, decades ago, that weren't set up to help us. So again, that's why when I heard about Amira and her story, and I wanted to get her on the show because people need to know who she is. She's got an awesome product. She's an awesome entrepreneur, mom. We haven't even spoken about that part yet.
Listen, I could talk all day about my babies. For them. Two girls, I do it for me too. I think that's very important as a Black woman. Do it for yourself. But my girls.
So let's talk about that. Now is Women's History Month, right? We're talking about clearly a beautiful woman of color that has children that are mentoring and growing. So let's give you some praise just for being all of those things. And so let's tell us a little bit about your family.
Yes. So me and my girls, and they are 11 and 9, heavenly and lyrically. And I was joking with someone recently. I was like, if you grew up in my era, 90s, early 2000s, where Kamora Lee was always in business meetings for Baby Fat with her 2 girls, and they were everywhere with her. Right. That's pretty much me. Right. They don't have any interest in wine at this point, but I'm exposing them to the business side. I make them work events with me. I talk to them about wine. They know some little facts, but they're like, we're never drinking it. But the business side of it, they are always asking questions. I include them wherever I can because, again, people are in positions to be where they are today because they have legacy and they had people passing things down. And I am breaking the generational curse, of course. In my family, that's the hot topic for African Americans these days, right? And it's like, no, I'm passing down businesses and property, I think education, of course, is important, but I feel like we're still stuck on just get your education. Right. Sometimes we see people successful who didn't even graduate college. And I'm for college, pro college. I'm a proud Temple owl, okay? Shout out to all my owls. But I want to expose my girls to everything. We travel a lot. We just spent almost a month in Costa Rica over the holidays just so they can experience life other places. So that, yes, they love to tell you they got stamps in their passport. I'm just about exposure. I put them in things that will enrich them and supplement what I don't know. Right, absolutely. I'm one of those people who will tell you I don't know everything, but I am doing my best and they're beautiful. And I'm just here to give them everything I didn't have. However, though, I come first. And I have that. Because when you pour into everyone else, the cliche, without pouring into yourself, no good to anybody. So this brand is for me. This was my baby, for me to, what's my passion, my purpose, and then I will pass it down to my kids if they'll have it.
Absolutely. Well,
wow. Awesome.
Good stuff. Congratulations. Let's get some claps on that again. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I love applause. Thank you.
Applause. So as we wind down, there's 2 components I want to give you an opportunity. One, let's talk about how people get to you. How do they get your wines? How do they get your product? Yes. And then 2, as we're going, now we're in 2020, right? So now 2021, when does the process begin for the next batch of your wine? So when do you go back into, getting the vineyard and start tasting and blending and bottle those wines?
Got it. So how you buy my wine, I'll start there. As I mentioned, I have kids and 2 mouths to feed. So I need you all to buy it. Buy a lot of it. Buy it for your friends. Buy it for your coworkers. Buy it as gifts. because I have to feed my children. Okay, that's my plea. But no, you go on to my website, LoveLeeWine.com. It's LoveLee, and there's a story behind that name. But LoveLeeWine.com, you can order there. Again, I ship to 34 states. If your state is not listed, you'll be able to see that. Now, more wine. So harvest season in America is September, October, if you're really late, right? And so that's when you pick the grapes, and then you do all your stuff with the grapes, and you ferment the grapes, and you do all that stuff. So typically I release wine in about February.
Okay.
Like I produce wines that are pretty much, they're good to drink now. But you'll see most of my wines have been, like my red is a 2016, my sparkling rosé 2015. Like these are starting to age, and my wines age fantastically. So just putting that out there too. So I just released the Pinot Noir, so I'm really pushing that. It was my try at a single varietal, but there was some blending, top secret, and not telling anyone. But if you guess what is in it, I'll let you know. Still had to put my stamp on it, because otherwise I'm not the winemaker. So yeah, so the Pinot is it right now.
Okay.
This is our 5-year anniversary, so I think I'm going to do like a box set in June.
Okay.
It's my birthday, and when I got the LLC, June 3rd, feel free to send me gifts. I love gifts. It's one of my new love languages. I'm learning that now. So we'll have something fun in there for people. And I'm still doing tastings. You can hire me virtually or in person. I've been doing some speaking engagements, which have been really fun, and teaching people how to taste wine during that. So I'm really enjoying my WSET training. Again, that's another reason why I do it too, is to give me that knowledge so that I can teach people about wine and be more than just a winemaker. So
what is that? What is WS?
Okay. WSET is the like international standard for learning about wine and spirits.
Okay.
So different courses you can take. WSET and the Court of Masters are probably the two famous. Court of Masters, if you follow anything in the wine industry, was really reprimanded recently for their biases against women and their biases against African Americans, especially when it comes to, like, I think if you're a master, you get called a master. And it's just some things that are just outdated in how they, as we get more of us in the room, there are certain things we just can't say anymore. And out to like people like Tahir Habibi over at the Hugh Society for really calling that out and demanding change and inclusion. So I know I've digressed, but there are people hitting the ground running, making sure we are present and respected and seen. And I just bow down to them because they're doing the work to give me the access and the platform to do what I do. So
right. Wow. Congratulations on that. And that's all good stuff. All good stuff. So as we wind down, what are some of the last departing words you want to leave on our listeners? So
I'll say some of the questions. One of the questions that I get asked the most is just like, how can I be an entrepreneur? What do I need to do to really get started and maintain a business? And one of the pieces of advice that I always give is to do at least one thing a day for your brand. It'll help you feel productive. It'll keep you moving forward and not stagnant. And when I say one thing, and I don't care if it's one post, responding to one email, reading one article, whatever your business is, keep going at it. Anything you put into, you're going to see a reward. You just have to keep going and be humble and open to receiving help and advice and mentorship. I had to break down some walls and really get humble in this industry because there's just so much I don't know, and I'm always open to learning.
Right.
And I want to say, just have fun. Again, drink what you want to drink, like what you want to like, but I guarantee you'll like my wine, so make sure you buy it.
Okay. Last time, how do they get to that website? What is it?
LoveLeeWine.com. I'm also very active on Instagram and Facebook at LoveLee Wine. LoveLee is spelled Lovelee.
Wow. Amira, go ahead. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I was saying, please follow. Make sure they follow. Subscribe to my website. I have some great things coming that only those who subscribe will know about. So follow me.
Excellent. Excellent. Let's give a round of applause again. Amira Garba of LoveLee Wines. Go to the website, follow her on Instagram, follow her on Facebook. Find out if she delivers to your state. Please support.
Yes.
Well, as we wind down again, I want to thank our sponsors, EatOkra, and we definitely we can't leave without giving EatOkra a shout out. EatOkra, again, more than just a directory for Black-owned restaurants and food service, food trucks, caterers, private chefs, prepared meals, and ghost kitchens. Download the app at EatOkra, the app. Follow them on Facebook at EatOkra, as well as email at EatOkra. I want to thank Amira. I want to thank our sponsors, and I want to thank you, our listeners, because without you, none of this is possible. Until we meet again, power to the people.
Thank you. Thank you.